we're going to start with Blade. And me and you both said before we started, the idea felt like we missed an issue here.
I'm sure
it ends up, we ended up at the last issue, and we thought that it was rushing to an end. We actually thought maybe it had been canceled. I got a hold of Brian Hill, and he actually said that no, that it's not canceled. It's going to continue. And then you get into this issue, and it still ends up, you see that it's setting up something which I think might be a little more exciting. I don't know how things go editorial deal. Like, did they get to him and say, all right, this whole thing that you're doing right now, it's fine, but we need to get to Dracula. That's what it seems, right? You end up having this big bad, and then out of nowhere, you end up just ending it. Last issue rushed to get Blade to fight this big bad, and then when we get to this, Adana, it's done. The fight's over already. And I thought, you actually went to see, in fact, if you missed an issue, right?
I did, yeah. I was checking, this is issue 5, isn't it, Jim? I thought, we must have missed one, but no, the last one was 4, and as you say, it ended on a bit of a cliffhanger. Here comes the fight, and now we just get a black box saying, okay, Blade, what do you remember?
And it's like, the fight's over. And the big play was the sword, and how he was going to go get it. And in this, if you haven't been reading this Adana, this big bad, who's kind of in the background, but messing around with Blade, has tricked Blade continuously to end up having Blade being really the one who brought her back, is fueling all of this, so Blade's going to end it, and then we get here and the fight's over. Very odd, but by the end, I kind of got excited. It's funny because me and you last week did the What If Tomb of Dracula, and we're kind of getting that feel by the end of this, so maybe it was good that we read that What If that we didn't love, but still, we got the flavor of it, but we'll see. But this is Blade number 5. Yeah, it is. It's very odd. Written by Brian Hill. All the art in this by Elena Casagrande, which that's a good thing for us. KJ Diaz on colors and DC's Corey Petit on letters. So you jump in, and the fight's over. And you end up having Doctor Strange and Blade sitting amongst what appears to be a bunch of possibly dead vampires. We got a werewolf over there in the foreground. Like, this seems like one of those plays when you're reading a comic and you don't quite understand why we didn't see this cool thing. Like, I'd rather have seen this really neat fight with all these monsters and maybe skip the idea of Doctor Strange still admonishing Blade for what he's done. And it just threw me off.
I'm just glad, Jim, one of those werewolves isn't Captain America.
Yeah, really. I mean, maybe it should be. I don't know. But there are a bunch of monsters there. We got the Wolfman, we got the Draculas, we got them all. So you end up where Blade says, all right, well, this big fight you had and lost because the Sedana, she got away. It's also triggered a bunch of things happening around the world. Feels very much like it should tie in fully with the Incredible Hulk book that's going on right now, where you also have kind of like the secret agent sleeper, bad things being activated. That's kind of what happens here. Everybody's changing. And you have Doctor Strange still mad about, you need to fix this. You need to get this done. You need to do what's happening. Well, Blade wants to know where his friends are. I need to know where they are. And it's Tulip and Rotha. And Strange says, I'll take you to them. We'll see what's happening. And the problem is, out of nowhere, they were affected as well, at least Tulip. And I just feel like through this whole issue that I'm kind of like one step behind everything, because everything is kind of like, okay, we got rid of all this stuff, but let's present this stuff really quick to get to the end. And it's okay. I expected a little bit more from the build-up of where we were going to here.
Me too, because we were both really quite enjoying this, weren't we? The first few issues I thought were a great start, but after last issue's kind of rushed finish, and then this issue where we feel like, we missed a whole scene. I don't know, Jim. Yeah, a little bit disappointing.
I think maybe the play is, maybe it's not just to get to Dracula, spoiler, but the idea that this Adana, I think that maybe it was supposed to end here. Like, this was supposed to be a big fight. We end it, but maybe it's them giving Brian Hill props of saying you could do more with this big bad. Don't let it end here. Let's put her aside. Because really, by the end of this, it looks like all right, Adana, she's still out there. She's still behind the scenes because in this, they go to this island and she is recruiting all these servants in this war against man. She also seems to want to kill all the vampires. Like she wants to cleanse the whole world. It seems that's a big thing. But in the meantime, it just feels rushed. It felt like things kind of built to a point where, all right, I'm waiting for a payoff that we didn't get yet, but we'll see. But you end up where Blade and Doctor Strange go back. Tulip, out of nowhere, is completely possessed by a demon. And it says the idea that, part of hell is in her and part of her is in hell. She is suffering. She wants to be killed. Blade won't do it. Strange won't do it. But I thought at the one point when they go back to, the Sanctum Sanctorum, it looks like is where they are, where you have Rotha and Tulip. I didn't understand what they were saying at first. Like, oh man, Tulip, they got to her. I'm like, I didn't know what they were saying. Like, oh, look at what happened to her. And she's just standing there. I'll admit I'm a dummy. I thought that they cut off her arms because she had her arms behind her back and I couldn't figure out what they were saying.
The same thing.
Yeah, I'm like, exactly. Okay. And please kill me. I mean, it's bad to lose your arms, but still.
What did they do to her?
And then Rotha's just there, bloody, just, sitting there down on the floor. Yeah. And the play here, again, because we didn't see this happen, it feels like it doesn't hit as much when Doctor Strange says, I can't cure her, but I can give her this amulet that will end up making it less hurtful, the amulet of Eden, so that she could still do things, but she still has this. It feels very forced. It feels very rushed. But again, we're kind of setting up pieces. And the only thing that I can say about this by the end, you are setting up things that maybe you could end up next issue having almost a jumping on point with Blade teaming up with Dracula. You have this setup for the, Rotha and Tulip. Maybe that's the play.
I can see that, yeah.
To go, okay, we had that first 5 issues. That's usually a trade. Let's end up going forward with some bigger things that might get more people buying it. I don't know how well or bad it's selling, but maybe that's the case. It's just, as me and you who have been enjoying it, reading it all this time, every issue, it just feels weird. But some of the things are okay, but I don't know. It just felt odd to have Tulip. Maybe that's because they need her to have something more interesting to stay with Blade. But the big play here is, okay, Blade needs friends. He needs to figure things out. He is then going to just go against Adana. He wants to face her. He wants to, maybe figure some things out. So Doctor Strange goes through this deal of, well, she's not really on Earth. She's not really in hell, but she's in a dimension, and I'll send you there. Doctor Strange stuff. And when Blade goes, there's a bit of crap talking. But at this point, Adana is just too powerful for Blade. Blade has set her up that way.
She's deadly. And Jim, what do you think of the way that Blade is? He's just suddenly there, isn't he? We go from 1 second talking to Doctor Strange, and then, there he is. He's in whatever, this dimension of hell. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like her own hell. And she even makes fun of Doctor Strange. And the big play is, again, she wants to cleanse Earth. She wants to end up taking down all the vampires, all the things, including Blade, but then ends up just burning him. Just ends up saying, you know how this works. I am too big for you, and I am going to just destroy you. And ends up just setting him on fire. And it's weird. Again, like you said, very weird transitions because he's on fire. I'm like, oh, God, he's going to die. Then suddenly, boom, he's back on Earth. He's there with Rotha, saying goodbye to her, saying, please look after Tulip. He's still on fire. He's still burned.
He's got a burnt face, hasn't he?
Victim
I think he's in Japan here as well, Jim. There's a red gate there, isn't there, in the distance?
Yeah, it looks like they went back to, Rotha's deal. That's where she says, my people are going to be after you. And he says, well, maybe you should find them and change their minds. All right. And take care of Tulip. I'm going to get going. And then says goodbye. And again, why then did you set these things up with Tulip, except for the idea that he wants to help her eventually, but you're kind of leaving them behind to go to, well, it looks like Chernobyl, it would be, to go to Russia and get on a team up, a 2-for-1. You get a little bit of a Dracula. I will tell you by the end, if you're going to have people want to read the book, if I said to somebody, well, you should read it because Blade teams up with Tulip and Rotha, they're going to say, who? If I say, hey, you got to read it, Blade's teaming up with Dracula, then they're in. There's the sell. And at the end, it looks great. The art at the end where Blade is going to Dracula for help. Hey, can you help me out? And it is one of those enemy of an enemy type thing. This Adana is big, bad, and it's going to kill everybody. And so, hey, here you go. And he says, you're Dracula's son of the dragon, of Vlad Tepes and the Blood Wolf. You know how to win a war. He needs to win this war against Adana, so he's gone to Dracula, something that you would never thought he would do. Next cover looks pretty funny. It's like them hanging out like they're having a grand old time. Yeah. It's like the team up of a century here, Blade and Dracula.
What do you think of his blonde hair, Jim? The Dracula we got here, it's a weird version, isn't it? Like long blonde
Dracula,
hair.
he looks okay. He's there. He's got a suit on, his medals, right? The thing to notice, I guess, is that a lot of the vampires have been killed because he's not quite ruling much of a city here.
No, there's nothing there, is there?
There's nobody else there. He has shown up. And so that'll be the deal. And I'm sure we'll get a lot of the talk about, hey, once this is done, I'm going to kill you, Dracula. And, hey, I'm going to kill you, Blade. I hate your guts. Kind of interesting, though. Kind of a neat way to continue on. It's just odd that we ended up really rushing to this point, and then in this issue, setting up something new with Dracula. To get there, you kind of just go zip, zip, zip around. We didn't really get to see the big fight. Looked like it might have been cool, but by the end, I'm in for Blade and Dracula, so we'll obviously be continuing reading and reviewing this, but what did you think of this issue?
Yeah, I'm with you. It ended a lot more positively than I think it started. It might have been nice to see a bit more of that fight that we didn't see, but I guess you could say, well, they could have been showing it as we went through the issue, little bits and pieces. But I'm here for Dracula. I really am, I must admit.
I am too. Again, if you're going to get a wow moment for a Blade book to get people on board, you just have to say, hey, listen, Blade's teaming up with Dracula. That could do it. If it doesn't, maybe it's the play. We're going to go all for it. If this doesn't sell, then maybe we'll just have to bail on it. So I hope that it does so. I'm enjoying the book.
Me too.
I actually like it for the action-packed deal. And that's the problem is usually, especially with Elena Casagrande back on art, you usually do get a lot of pages of battle. So that battle might have been cool. But then again, it sometimes at the end of that feels like you didn't get that much. But it's, you know what I mean? It's that weird play. Like you said, you would have liked to have seen the battle. But maybe this way it's better to get going in some new direction. Or at least it's not a totally new direction. They're going against Adana, but it's something big. So we'll see. But yeah, it seems like, I think that editorial kind of got their mitts on it and said, kind of shifted Dracula's way. At the end, you have the tombs of Dracula, or the tomes of Dracula. Looks really, really cool, the way that that's set up. But what would your score be?
I'm going to give this 6.5.
It's funny. I could almost, by the end, because it's Dracula, I could almost go 7, just because I'm excited. But that's more of me being excited of what's to come.
Do it, Jim, do it. You are positive. Come on.
Well, I was thinking 6.5 around, but by the end, I'm a 7 in excitement to go forward, and that could just go up. I mean, this could be really fun. It could be a really fun book. Maybe we'll have a sleeper hit with Dracula teaming up with Blade.
You are all weirdos.
Weird science is the revolution. Weird science is the revolution.